Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. Today we have another lesson in Mega Goal 6. But before we start our lesson today, let's take a quick overview for the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we had writing, the 10th lesson in the second unit. In this unit, we started the lesson with some questions that aim to grab your attention, to make you think and reflect about the material that we are going to read. After that, we read an article or a piece of text about a disaster. We read this piece of text, caught in a heat wave without electricity. We had some information about the heat waves. We learned about how to protect ourselves from getting stuck by the heat waves. Then after that, we learned we read how to guide about how to prevent being stuck in heat wave situations. Then after that, we went on to learn how to write our own how-to guides regarding one of the disasters that we suggested for you to choose. Here we have some suggested natural disasters such as hurricane, earthquake, or flood. You were asked to choose one of them. Then we learned together that to write something about the disasters and how to guide, you have firstly to write an introduction. In the introduction, you have an overview about this natural disaster, a definition, the consequences of this disaster. Then after that, you start writing your tips and advices regarding this disaster. And after that, you finish your essay by writing a conclusion to sum up all what you have written. You have here in this page a chart that is divided into 3 parts: before the disaster, during the disaster, after the disaster. These 3 stages could help you organize your mind so you can write down the steps in each one of these stages so you can organize them later in your essay. After that, we revised together in the writing corner some of the tips that could help you writing your own how-to guide. The first one is research and collect information. Don't start things from the scratch depending only on your mind. Try to research and collect information first so they could help you write your essay properly. Number 2, make an outline, include an introduction, guidelines, and conclusion. Address your readers directly. Think about your readers and position they are in. Avoid including terrifying stories and consequences. Focus on prevention. Include humor if possible. And the last thing, provide alternatives. Today, we have the 8th lesson in this unit: form, meaning, and function. In this unit, we have some grammatical rules. We have some vocabulary skills. We will try to integrate them together and learn something out of them. Firstly, we are going to talk about the past progressive. We know that we have 3 tenses. We have past, we have present, and we have future. Past is something that already happened. Okay, so something already happened. This is called past. The past has many types. Today we are going to talk about, or in this part, we are going to talk about the past progressive. We use the past progressive in many situations. In the first one, we use the past progressive, which is be plus the present participle, to describe a long action that is interrupted by a short action. This is the first situation. We describe a long action that is interrupted by a short action. For example, as Figlock was walking down a Chicago street. This is a long action. He was walking. That takes a long time. A baby fell from a fourth-story window. This is the interruption that happened to the long action. A baby fell from a fourth-story window. This is the interruption that happened in this situation. As Figlock was walking down a Chicago street, a baby fell from a fourth-story window. A year later, while he was passing by that same building, this is also another long action. The same baby fell out of the same window and landed on Mr. Figlock. This is another short action interrupted the long action. After that, we use the past progressive when we describe what was happening at specific time in the past. Specific time in the past. For example, if we talk about yesterday or the week before, and we mention a specific time, for example, if we talk about yesterday and we said at 3 o'clock yesterday, this is a specific time in the past. We have a question here. What were you doing at 3 o'clock today? I was driving home from work. We use the present progressive here because we were talking about something happened in the past at a specific time. What was the specific time? At 3 o'clock today. The third situation is that we use the past progressive when we talk about a temporary state or action. If we talk about something that is not permanent, something is going or something happened for a short time and ended, something didn't happen and still happening for a long time, this is called temporary. It is ending in a certain time or something is ending shortly. This is called temporary state. Have you always lived in Riyadh? No. A few years ago, I was living in Dubai. So he was living or she was living in Dubai for a specific time, for a short time. So that was a temporary state. He or she didn't live for the whole of their lives there. Another question, what were you doing in Dubai? I was studying for my degree. That means he studied or she studied for their degrees, and after they finish, they left Dubai. So they were living there and studying there for a temporary or for a short time. So it was a temporary state. Another situation for using the past progressive is with always to describe a repeated or annoying action. If you want to complain about something, that means, or it's okay to use the word always. For example, here we have in the example, my old car was always breaking down, so I bought a new one. Here, she is complaining about her car, or he is complaining about his car by using the word always to show your annoyance of your situation. The word always is suggested to be used. My old car was always breaking down, so I bought a new one. We use the past progressive to describe two actions that were happening at the same time. This is the last situation. For example, on June 6th, 1980, Edwin Robertson was out walking and looking for his pet chicken during the thunderstorm when he was struck by lightning. So he was out walking and at the same time he was struck by lightning. There are two actions happened at the same time. Okay, so these two actions happened at the same time. This is one of the situations where we use the past progressive. After that, we have was or were going to and was or were about to. We use this form in order to show our intentions of something. For example, if you want to talk about something that you have intended to do in the past, but you didn't do, this is the proper way to talk about it, by using these two ways. We use was or were, going to or about to, and after that we follow it by a base form of the verb to refer to an action that were intended but probably didn't happen. Okay, so it was intended. You wanted to do it, but you most likely didn't do it, so probably didn't happen. I was going to study engineering. I was going to study engineering, but my father advised me otherwise. So my intention was studying engineering. Did he study engineering? No, he didn't, because his father advised him otherwise. So he was about to study engineering. The other example is, they were just about to leave when the phone rang. They were just about to leave when the phone rang. They didn't leave. They almost left, but the phone rang. After that, we have the past perfect tense. We talked about the past progressive. Now we have the past perfect tense. We use the past perfect tense, had, that is followed by past participle, to indicate an action that happened before another action in the past. So what is the definition of the past perfect tense? It is an action that happened before another action that happened in the past. Okay, so we have two actions and they are both in the past. The past perfect is the first one of them. So if we have a timeline, this is the present and this is the action in the past. Here happens the past perfect tense. This is present. Okay. For example, where Edwin Robertson was struck by lightning, he had been blind and deaf for almost 10 years. When Edwin Robertson was struck by lightning, he had been blind and deaf for almost 10 years. After that, we have past perfect progressive and past simple tense. We use the past perfect progressive when the activity was in progress at the time another activity or event happened in the past. So we have two events are happening at the same time, but they are both happening in the past. For example, King Umberto of Italy had been climbing into his carriage when he was assassinated. So what he was doing, he had been climbing. And what happened to him at the same time? He was assassinated. After that, we have now 3 exercises regarding the previous grammatical rules that we have just learned. In each one of them, we will talk about 1 or 2 of these grammatical rules, and we will try to answer these questions together. We will start with the first one. A. Complete the news report using the verbs in parentheses. Use the passive and the active simple past, the past progressive tense, and was or were about to. The last thing, 7-year-old Ricardo Gordon remembers, and we have between the parentheses the word be. We have just learned that the word be refers to was and were. So the answer is, the last thing 17-year-old Ricardo Gordon remembers was that a storm was about to come, and we have here the word rush, and the context is in the past. So the right thing to do is to add the ed for the verb. And he rushed to get inside. Next thing, he knew he was laying in a hospital bed. Here is what happened. Ricardo was listening to the live broadcast of the football game when lightning hit him. As a result, his hair and ears were burned and he had dark spots all over his body. The wounds on his body followed the wire of his smartphone from his ears down to his hip, where he was carrying the device. The electric current traveled from his smartphone to his headphones. Ricardo is lucky to be alive. So here we use two or more grammatical rules. We use the passive and active simple past. We use the past progressive tense and was or were about to. After that, we have another exercise, which is C. We are asked here to complete the sentences using the verbs in the parentheses. Use the simple past and the past perfect forms. So here we have 5 sentences and there are more than one action is happening at the same time in each sentence. For example, Ahmed cook his favorite meal when the pan catch fire. We have just learned what is the proper grammatical rule to use when we have more than one action happening at the same time. You can pause the video right now and try to do this exercise by your own, and after that you can resume it to check the answer. But let's do number 1 together. Ahmed had cooked his favorite meal when the pan caught fire. So we talked about the past perfect and we said it's an action that happened before another action in the past. Number 2, by the time we arrive at the picnic, the rain stopped, and the answer is by the time we arrived at the picnic, the rain had stopped. Number 3, dinosaurs had been extinct for millions of years before the first humans appeared. Number 4, I had never traveled outside my country until I went to Disney World last summer. Number 5, we wanted to get a picture of the meteorite, but when we arrived, the police had already taken it away. Now, let's go to the workbook. I want you to open page 20 in the workbook and go to exercise P. In this exercise, complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb in parentheses. Use the past progressive, past simple, past perfect, or past perfect progressive tense. So in this exercise, you are asked to use all the past tenses that we have just learned together. You can also here pause the video, try to do this exercise by your own, and after that, get back and resume to check your answers with the correct answers we are going to have together now. Number 1, the tourists eat their lunch when a thief steals their camera. So we have here 2 consecutive actions happening at the same time. The answer is the tourists were eating their lunch when a thief stole their camera. Number 2, they work hard all morning when he decided to take a break. He had been working all day. He had been working hard all morning when he decided to take a break. Number 3, the 2 men were sitting on a bench when a boy asked them the time. Number 4, Fatima was talking on the phone while her mother was cooking lunch. Number 5, the boy was eating ice cream cone. The boy was eating an ice cream cone while his sister was making a sandwich. Number 6, she had been calling them on the phone all morning, but no one was answering it, or no one answered it. They are both correct. If you focus on number 3 and number 4, they have some similarities. Sorry, number 4 and number 5. There are two actions. Fatima was talking on the phone while her mother was cooking lunch. So we have two actions, or we have two actions are happening at the same time. Two people are doing things at the same time. So we use the past progressive. Also, that thing happened in number 5. The boy was eating an ice cream cone while his sister was making a sandwich. Two actions are happening at the same time. This is the last part of our lesson today. Thank you all for attending, and I wish you enjoy the rest of the day. Assalamu alaikum.